It all started innocently enough. My girlfriend, Rachel, always had a knack for thinking outside the box when it came to gifts. Every Valentine's Day, she'd surprise me with something unique. One year, a scrapbook filled with our adventures. Another, a custom playlist of songs that reminded her of me. But this year, she had outdone herself, though not in a way I could have ever expected. I came home to find her grinning from ear to ear, a large shopping bag resting on the couch. "Happy Valentine's Day, Chris," she exclaimed, rushing over to plant a kiss on my cheek. "Happy Valentine's, babe," I said, smiling. "What's in the bag?" Her eyes twinkled mischievously. "Something fun. Something different." I wasn't sure whether to be excited or nervous. Rachel loved surprises, and while most of them were great, a few had been questionable, like the time she insisted we take a couples yoga class and I ended up with a pulled muscle. She reached into the bag and pulled out a cascade of silky fabric, sequins glinting under the light. It took me a moment to realize what I was looking at. "A dress?" I asked, raising an eyebrow. "Not just a dress," she corrected, holding it up against me. "A designer dress. Isn't it gorgeous?" Yeah, but why?" She rolled her eyes playfully. "Because I thought it would be hilarious to see you in it." "Come on, don't you trust me? It's Valentine's Day. Let's do something silly and fun." I hesitated, but her enthusiasm was contagious. Rachel had always been full of life, her adventurous spirit one of the things I loved most about her. "All right," I sighed, laughing. But just this once, her squeal of delight was almost deafening. "You're the best. Wait here, I got more." "More?" Before I could protest, she dashed off and returned with a smaller bag. Out came a pair of strappy heels, a wig with long, sleek brunette locks, and a makeup kit. "Oh no," I said, backing away. "Oh yes," she countered, grabbing my hand. "You're going all out, mister. Trust me, you're going to look fabulous." It took a lot of convincing and a glass of wine, but eventually I relented. Rachel was practically vibrating with excitement as she worked her magic. She started with the makeup, expertly applying foundation, eyeliner, and a bold red lipstick. I couldn't help but admire her skill. She made it look so easy. Next came the dress. It was a snug fit, the fabric clinging to my body in a way that felt both alien and oddly flattering. The wig was the finishing touch, transforming me into someone I barely recognized when I finally looked in the mirror. "Wow," Rachel said, stepping back to admire her handiwork. "You look incredible." I stared at my reflection, stunned. I wasn't sure whether to laugh or be impressed. The person looking back at me wasn't Chris, the guy who spent most weekends in jeans and a hoodie. This was someone glamorous, someone confident. "What do you think?" Rachel asked, grinning. "I think you missed your calling as a makeup artist," I said, shaking my head in disbelief. She laughed. "You're a natural, babe. Seriously, you could be a model." I snorted. "Yeah, right." But Rachel wasn't joking. She grabbed her phone and started snapping pictures, instructing me to strike different poses. At first, I felt ridiculous, but her infectious laughter put me at ease. Before long, I was twirling and pouting, hamming it up for the camera. The night turned out to be one of the most fun Valentine's Days we'd ever had. I figured that would be the end of it, a funny memory to look back on, but life had other plans. A week later, Rachel called me over to her laptop, a guilty look on her face. "So, don't be mad," she began. "What did you do?" I asked, narrowing my eyes. "I may have submitted one of your photos to an online contest." "What?" "Relax. It was just for fun. The theme was unexpected beauty, and you were perfect. Besides, it's not like anything's going to come of it." She was wrong. 2 days later, she got an email from a boutique fashion brand. They loved the photo and wanted to feature me. Well, the version of me in the dress, in their upcoming campaign. "This has to be a joke," I said, staring at the email in disbelief. "It's not," Rachel insisted. I checked, they're legit. "Come on, Chris. This is amazing." "No way. I'm not doing it." "Why not? You looked incredible, and they're even offering to pay you." I hesitated. The idea of stepping so far out of my comfort zone was terrifying, but there was also a strange allure to it. And Rachel's excitement was hard to resist. "All right," I said finally. "I'll do it. But just this once." The shoot took place in a sleek downtown studio. When I arrived, I felt completely out of my depth. Models with chiseled features and perfect hair milled about, chatting with stylists and photographers. I was just an ordinary guy who'd stumbled into this world by accident. But the team welcomed me with open arms. They loved the story behind my photo and were thrilled to have someone who broke the mold. The stylist worked their magic, dressing me in a series of stunning outfits, each more extravagant than the last. The makeup artist transformed me once again, and by the time I stepped in front of the camera, I felt like a different person. The photographer, a flamboyant man named Marco, was a whirlwind of energy. "Yes, gorgeous. Give me attitude," he shouted, snapping away. "You're a natural, darling." To my surprise, I found myself enjoying it. There was something liberating about stepping into this persona, about being someone bold and fearless, even if only for a little while. The campaign was a hit. The photos went viral, and before I knew it, I was being contacted by other brands and agencies. What started as a silly Valentine's Day experiment had turned into an unexpected career. Over the next few months, my life changed in ways I never could have imagined. I became a sought-after model, celebrated for my unique story and ability to blur the lines between traditional gender roles. The industry embraced me, and I embraced it right back. Rachel was my biggest supporter, cheering me on every step of the way. "See," she said one night as we celebrated another successful shoot. "I told you you'd be amazing." I laughed, shaking my head. "You're the amazing one. None of this would have happened without you." She grinned. "Does that mean I get credit as your manager?" "Absolutely." Looking back, I realized how much I'd grown. Modeling had taught me to embrace my individuality, to be comfortable in my own skin, whether I was in jeans and a hoodie or a sequin gown. And it all started with a Valentine's gift, a little dress, and a lot of love. As my modeling career took off, I found myself thrust into a whirlwind of experiences I never imagined. Offers came pouring in, not just from boutique brands, but from major designers and photographers who wanted to feature me in their projects. It was exhilarating and surreal, and utterly overwhelming. Rachel, of course, was thrilled. "Can you believe this? My partner, is a fashion icon," she joked one night as we sat on the couch, scrolling through my latest feature in an online magazine. "You mean your experiment?" I teased. "Call it what you want," she said, smirking. "But you've got to admit, you're loving it." She wasn't wrong. What had started as an act of love and fun had turned into something I genuinely enjoyed. But that didn't mean it was easy. Balancing my everyday life with my new identity as a fashion model was tricky, to say the least. One particularly memorable moment came during a high-profile photo shoot for a luxury cosmetics brand. They wanted to highlight timeless elegance and had cast me as one of the faces of their campaign. The set was extravagant, with chandeliers, plush velvet furniture, and an army of stylists bustling about. As I slipped into a floor-length gown that shimmered like liquid gold, I couldn't help but marvel at how far I'd come. A few months ago, I would have laughed at the idea of wearing something like this. Now, it felt almost natural, almost. "All right, darling," Marco, the same photographer for my first shoot, called out. "Let's bring that magic. Give me regal. Give me poise." I struck a pose, channeling every ounce of confidence I could muster. The gown's fabric cascaded around me like water, catching the light in dazzling patterns. "Perfect. You're a vision," Marco gushed, snapping away. But as the shoot progressed, I started to feel the strain. Holding poses for extended periods, balancing on impossibly high heels, and maintaining the elegant demeanor expected of me was exhausting. By the time we wrapped up, my feet were screaming, and my smile felt permanently etched onto my face. "Great job today," one of the stylists said as she helped me out of the gown. "You're really something special." "Thanks," I said, wincing as I stepped out of the heels. "But I think my toes might disagree." She laughed. "Welcome to the world of modeling." Beauty is pain, darling. As much as I enjoyed the glamour, there were challenges I hadn't anticipated. For one, not everyone was as accepting as the people I'd worked with so far. While the fashion industry had embraced me, the online world was a different story. Comments on social media were a mixed bag. For every message of support and admiration, there were others that were cruel and dismissive. Some questioned my masculinity. Others accused me of being a gimmick or trying to steal opportunities from real women. At first, I tried to ignore the negativity, but it wasn't always easy. Rachel noticed the toll it was taking on me. "Hey," she said one evening, sitting beside me as I stared at my phone. "You can't let those trolls get to you. They don't know you, Chris. They don't see how hard you're working or how much this means to you." "I know," I said, sighing. "But sometimes it feels like no matter what I do, it'll never be enough." Rachel took my hand, her gaze steady. "You don't have to prove anything to anyone. You're amazing just as you are, and the people who matter see that. Don't let the rest of them take that away from you." Her words stayed with me, becoming a mantra I repeated to myself whenever the doubts crept in. One of the turning points in my journey came when I was invited to walk in a fashion show during New York Fashion Week. It was a dream come true and the most nerve-wracking experience of my life. The night before the show, I could barely sleep. My mind raced with worries about tripping on the runway, forgetting my cues, or, worst of all, being laughed at. Rachel, ever my rock, stayed up with me, doing everything she could to ease my nerves. "You've got this," she said for the 100th time, rubbing my shoulders. "You're going to blow them away." The day of the show was a blur of fittings, rehearsals, and last-minute adjustments. As I stood backstage in a breathtaking gown, the reality of what I was about to do hit me. "You ready?" one of the organizers asked, clipboard in hand. I took a deep breath. As I'll ever be. When my turn came, I stepped onto the runway, the bright lights and sea of faces momentarily overwhelming. But as I walked, something shifted. The nerves melted away, replaced by a sense of exhilaration. This was my moment, and I was determined to own it. The applause that erupted as I reached the end of the runway was like nothing I'd ever experienced. It wasn't just for the dress or the designer. It was for me. The success of that show catapulted me to new heights. I became a symbol of inclusivity and breaking boundaries, featured in articles and interviews that celebrated my journey. But with the spotlight came even greater scrutiny, and I quickly learned the importance of staying true to myself. Rachel was my anchor through it all, always reminding me of why I'd started this journey in the first place. It wasn't about fame or recognition, it was about embracing who I was and inspiring others to do the same. One day, I received an email that left me speechless. A major magazine wanted to feature me on their cover. It was a historic opportunity, the kind of milestone that few models ever achieve. The shoot was set to take place in Paris, a city I'd always dreamed of visiting. When I told Rachel, she practically squealed with excitement. "Paris? Are you kidding me? This is huge." We decided to make a trip out of it, turning it into a mini vacation. Walking through the cobblestone streets, visiting iconic landmarks, and indulging in decadent pastries felt like a fairy tale. The shoot itself was nothing short of magical. Standing on a rooftop overlooking the Eiffel Tower, dressed in an avant-garde creation that defied description, I felt like I was on top of the world, literally and figuratively. As my career continued to flourish, I found myself reflecting on how far I'd come. The shy, self-conscious guy who once hesitated to put on a dress was now a confident, accomplished model with a story to tell. But more than that, I realized how much I'd grown as a person. Modeling had pushed me out of my comfort zone, forcing me to confront my insecurities and embrace my individuality. It had taught me that beauty wasn't about fitting into a mold. It was about celebrating what made you unique. Rachel and I often laughed about how it all began. "Who knew a Valentine's Day prank would turn into this?" she said one night as we looked through photos for my latest campaign. "Not me," I replied, shaking my head. "But I'm glad it did." She smiled, leaning her head on my shoulder. "Me too. You're proof that sometimes the best things in life come from the most unexpected places." Looking back, I couldn't agree more. What started as a silly experiment had turned into a journey of self-discovery, love, and empowerment, one that I wouldn't trade for anything in the world. And to think it all began with a dress. Thank you so much for watching till now. It means the world to have you here. This community is all about empowering each other and celebrating the incredible journeys of everyone on their path to living authentically. If you're ever feeling lost or alone, remember you have a whole family here for you. Hit that subscribe button, smash that like button, and let's keep inspiring each other, sending you all the love and strength in the world. Until next time, live your life by your rules.